Expectations around Tottenham this season are sky high. They're back in the Champions League, and under Postecoglou, halfway through the season there was a slight glimmer, a slight little bit of hope that there might have been a bit of a title run-in perhaps or something like that, but it wasn't to be, sadly. And in this summer transfer window, Tottenham got off to a pretty quick start, bringing in some key players to reinforce their ranks and reinvigorate their squad ahead of what will be Ange Postecoglou's second full season, and what is normally a very impressive season if you look at his previous track record. But this pre-season, after the early start there, kind of ground to a bit of a halt, and there's a little bit of noise around Tottenham about Ange will need to change the style of play again down to pre-season performances and results. But they have went out and they have paid £56 million to bring in Dominic Solanke to reinforce the firepower that they've got in the squad. And a move that really, when you look at the Tottenham squad, is probably the next place they had to reinforce. I'm a big fan of this transfer personally, and having watched Postecoglou at Celtic for a few years, I think the Solanke transfer is really tailor-made for Ange Ball, and I think this really could see Tottenham lift the full squad into that next level, into that season 2 of Ange that all the fans and everyone kind of around the club kind of hopes and expects. The main question mark is this squad Champions League ready? But I think as far as domestic action goes, it looks like all things are firing on all cylinders. In the video today, we'll be looking at the impact of Solanke into the Tottenham squad and trying to, gauge, how far they will go this year. At any point in the video today, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this as we cover all the headline transfers throughout the summer as we get set for what should be the biggest season ever of European football. And get into the comment section in this one and let me know, Solanke for 56, 57 million pounds, whatever it is it a W, is it an L? Be really interested to hear your thoughts and opinions on this one. And yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it. Make no mistake about it, Ange last year did very, very well to do as well as he did, and Tottenham really did overperform. They really did exceed expectations because so many of the players that Tottenham had been built across like 3 different managers and umpteen different transfer windows for all sorts of different styles of play. So it was a real pick and mix of some players that obviously worked and excelled under Ange, some players they had to keep and just use through gritted teeth no matter what the situation was because of the squad and injuries and all the rest of it. And one thing that really did hold Tottenham back last year was their ability to score more than 2 goals a game. Now, I know there was games where there was a lot of goals in them and they did score more than 2, they did score more than 3. But consistently throughout the year, if you look at like Aston Villa and Tottenham, that is really what separated them in the end. Is Aston Villa had far more regular games of far more regularity of scoring 3-4s on a regular basis and ultimately getting draws out of losses and getting wins out of draws that Tottenham maybe didn't get at different stages of the season. And for me, Solanke is the next move that comes in alongside Archie Gray, comes inside Van de Ven, Vicario, that these guys, Brennan Johnson, these guys are picked by Ange specifically, and with the amount of money that Tottenham has, with the gravitas that Tottenham in the Premier League has and everything as well, he is in a situation where he can get the exact player he wants for his system to maximise it. Now, Ange has had some grief, let's just call it, over pre-season. I've not been watching Tottenham in pre-season, so I can't really comment on it too much. But make no mistake about it, the big man knows his style of football, and the big man knows where he's lacking. And with the signings that we've seen, mainly the outgoings, but I do like Gray, Bergvall, some really good, hungry energy coming into the squad. Werner been retained for another season. Yang coming in from the K-League, that it's now quite poised, this squad, to get best 11 calibre upgrades. And I think that's what Solanke is. Now, I've got Solanke being a best 11 out-and-out arrowhead forward for Ange. But one thing we do know about Ange is he doesn't let many players, especially the ones in the attacking areas, get 90 minutes. So if Pigeon here, who has had some defiant comments out there in the press recently, having rejected a mega money move for Saudi Arabia, saying his hopes and dreams of playing in the Premier League and for the Celestial of Brazil is bigger than the big bags of money that get offered his way. So I do think maybe he still sees a future at Tottenham. Maybe he doesn't. In any case, I do think we'll see both of these guys feature across 90 minutes quite prominently. I don't think Solanke will play 90 minutes of every game. I don't think Ange thinks that. And maybe a lot of you guys already know that already. So I don't think this will be a foregone conclusion, because sometimes Richarlison might start matches if you don't need quite that energy. Because one of the things that does separate Solanke from Richarlison, which I think is going to put him head and shoulders above him in the pecking order is his pressing ability, is his energy to really give the goalkeeper and the defence are looking to play it from the back a real handful up here. And for a guy that's not lightning quick, he covers enough of the ground across the defensive third, the final third, however you want to think of it as. And Richarlison doesn't really do that. Playing Son in this position, you definitely did get that from him, but I do think that Son's best position is this incisive forward role that Ange wants. Ange wants these wide players, these attacking wingers to be incisive forwards, guys that are driving towards goal at all times, have someone to play with as well. Is the guy that they're playing with being capable of scoring every type of goal? Left foot, right foot header, running against the defence, breaking through the offside trap with maybe 20, 30 yards to go. They want to have as many different routes to go with the front three as possible, and with the speed of Brennan, with the absolute upper quality of Son, and now with the real fox in the box target man, real can score any goal, Premier League proven to a really good level as well, Dom Solanke. I think this just really does put Son in a better position now, and ultimately the whole front three is built by Ange now. It really should be getting more than 2 goals a game on average. We really should see Tottenham really break into big scoring line matches, because the rest of the team, although it did have weaknesses and did have flaws last season for how high up they defend and how much onus they put on Romero and Van de Ven to 1v1 defend, how much they ask of the goalkeeper, these things aren't going to change. And the only way that these guys can get better, Tottenham can allow less of these opportunities to happen now that with Basuma and Gray, maybe it's Sarr or whatever, right? But with the development of the incoming transfers have had, more time with the players that are incumbent together, the increase in cohesion and all that kind of thing, maybe there's just less of that stuff that happens. But the best way to mitigate against that is scoring another couple of goals, because in some of the games where they got lots of headlines and plaudits, like I think there was a 4-each draw with Chelsea or something, maybe that was Man City, they were able to score more than 2 goals a game, and it was less of a problem, it was more of a spectacle. And getting a draw out of that game in the cold light of day is always going to be somewhat forgiven, even if you've left Van de Ven out to dry, or he comes off injured and you're doing it to Ben Davis or whatever, Dragusin. That is just going to happen. Football is football. Other teams are always going to be really good. Other teams are always going to score goals. Other teams are always going to have a strength against one of your weaknesses. But a big part about Ange is focus on yourself, play our game and exploit their weaknesses and just outscore them for the most part. And Solanke really does underline that for me. And I think this is a huge move that really does keep Tottenham in the picture, in the frame for retaining Champions League status this season. But what I think is maybe missing from this picture is a bit of top-end Champions League quality. Now, with the new reformatting of the Champions League, that might not be too much of a problem for the initial big league section that we're going to have, because Tottenham will be playing 2 pot 4, 2 pot 3 teams, and then there'll be the 2 pot 2 teams. You're crossing your fingers you get good luck on that. And then 2 pot 1 teams, which will be like PSGs and Real Madrids and that kind of thing. So really, where are Tottenham hoping to pick up points in the Champions League? 6 points against pot 4, 6 points against pot 3. How many points can you get against pot 2? And then maybe you just write off pot 1, and then you hope to get into the top 12, top 10, whatever it might be. Does this squad have that ability to write off, let's say, half of the Champions League in terms of it being an opponent at home and or away? You don't play the same opponent home and away, by the way. So you might be at home to Celtic, but then you go away to Sparta Prague or something. I don't know. Whoever else is in pot 4 with us. Maybe, probably. But I do think it's missing a little bit of that. So I don't, and again, like I said before with Archie Gray versus Bentancur, or Bentancur versus anyone, is that Ange is going to be bringing in players that are going to compete for first team spaces. He's going to be bringing in guys that are going to lift the overall level, because he wants it to be ferocious. He wants to really need to make all 5 of those subs, and he wants every sub that comes on bleeding on the pitch. He wants them all leaving everything out there, as well as everyone he does choose to start. He wants them playing at full revs until they burn out, and then he'll swap them round, or giving their all to keep their place, keep their starting position in the team for next week. And midfield, for the most part, I think is kind of there, but I just think there's still a massive reliance on Maddison. So with some of the outgoings we've had, I don't think Brian Heel and Valise, and I know Valise is maybe more of a striker, but some of the tertiary players that have been let go, I think this has given Tottenham a lot of good financial flexibility. We've not seen them involved in any of these shenanigans of horse trading youth players for 50 million quid or whatever. But I do think maybe there's another defender for depth to come in here, perhaps, and especially with Emerson going, maybe there's needs for a right back for Pedro Porro cover. But I still think in terms of top quality football, in terms of top end of the table, aspirations, and having this season being very successful, winning a trophy of some description, there's still now just a massive reliance on Maddison. So could there be, maybe it is Bergvall, maybe I'm underselling, maybe it's Sarr, probably not from what I've seen, but maybe it's Bergvall, I've not seen much of him. Maybe there is somebody in here taking a job share that with Maddison a bit better this year. But if not, I think that's kind of the only thing that's left on the agenda for Tottenham. Solomon, Kulusevski, maybe Richarlison, any one of those three go out, there could be a little domino effect for Tottenham where they go and bring in another 2 or 3 players really quick style. And yeah, really exciting for Tottenham. The best 11 like is really up there now. And I think it's not just the addition of Solanke and what he brings, but it's also like the subsequent allowing Son to be the best version of himself out there in left wing. Because Solanke, I probably should have said this earlier in the video, but yeah, he's much closer to that Kane mould that Son has worked so well with. And Brennan Johnson could do likewise, or Kulusevski, whoever ends up staying and being the right winger. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. On screen and now some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Don't forget to get into the comment section in this one and let me know what you think the Tottenham team is shaped up like. Is it Champions League ready? Is it going to get back into the Champions League spots for the next season? I'd be really interested to catch the comments on this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one.